Being back in Vienna this week after so many tournaments was a welcome change. Of course, work was waiting for me again, also in Vienna. Before the start of the first session, I sat down with Yuri Rodionov to discuss a few things. We hadn't seen each other for a while, and as always, a lot had happened during this time. Of course, Yuri is not where we would like to see him in the ATP rankings at the moment, but it is the reality and reflects the performances of the last few months. Nevertheless, I know how quickly things can go in a different direction for Yuri. There's no sign of resignation or frustration on Yuri's part, and the sessions this week were also good. I tried to pick up where we left off last year in the pre-season and where I saw great progress. Over the course of the year, some of these things have faded into the background or are no longer recognizable. So this week we took a few steps in this direction again. Continuity in working with Yuri is certainly the most important part, and that has been very difficult so far this year. We must therefore work together to find a solution to improve this aspect in the future. After practicing at another training facility in the summer, Niki Stoiber is back with us for part of the season. Like him, many players have big problems getting started on the professional tour. The reason for this is simply that it is becoming increasingly difficult to enter the qualification for the futures without an ITF ranking. Therefore, every trip to these tournaments is associated with a financial risk because you never know whether it will actually be possible to take part in the tournament at all. If, like Niki Stoiber, you have had health problems for a long time and are therefore unable to show a ranking, it is very difficult to play. And I know some players just here in the Vienna area who are facing exactly the same problem. A good junior ranking is therefore certainly an advantage. My partner Ivan Galic and I used to be the tennis team for our players. As of this week, we welcome Roland Berger to the coaching team. We have known and appreciated each other for many years, and Roland has already worked with many players in his career as a coach. Among others with Werner Eschauer, as well as the Slovenians Bedene and Šemlja. All these players have reached the top 100 in the ATP rankings, and Roland has certainly made his contribution to their success. For Yuri Rodionov, this week of practicing was all about preparing for the ATP 500 in Vienna. He has applied for a wildcard, main draw or qualification. He would be happy with either. Even for participation in the qualifying, a ranking in the top 100 was still required 3 days before the tournament. Where the cut for the tournament lies afterwards is always the question. Especially in such strong tournaments, it can suddenly go down a long way if some players cancel at the last moment. Yuri didn't know if he would get a wildcard, so he kept his hopes up until the last moment. For Slava Belinsky, the tournaments could finally start again. He is competing in the ITF tournament in Bol, Croatia, with my partner Ivan Galic at his side. Our expectations were not very high after the long break. Although Slava made a very good impression in practice, the competition is a different matter. The lack of match practice was evident, but Slava still won 3 matches and was in the semifinals when the video was released. so not a bad start. More of this next week. Thank you for your interest and see you in the next video.